Hey, it's Pradeep Sangha here, and I am here talking about why real men are going extinct. Now, before we get into that, one of the most important things to understand is that in order to be the complete man, and if you haven't had a chance to pick up a copy of my book, The Complete Man, I highly recommend that you do. Go to completemanbook.com because in there I illustrate very clearly through our research, decades of experience, and using real science how men can actually perform better, achieve success, and also be fulfilled in every area of your life. Now, in order to be a complete man, you need to be able to be a real man. And I'll do an episode going forward on what that actually entails and the characteristics around that. But there's one particular thing that is more important than anything else, and that is living in alignment with yourself. And for most men, that means that they are actually in a state of masculinity or in a masculine state. You know when you're not in that state. You don't feel great. Your physiology will actually change. Your biology will change. People around you will react differently. And ultimately, your hormones change as well. So it's very, very important for you as a man to be in a masculine state. So, why are real men going extinct? There's three particular reasons. The first one is that the old guard is actually passing away. The old guard is they're individuals like my dad, my grandfather. My dad passed away 5 years ago. My grandfather passed away 20 plus years ago. These are guys that were raised to be real men. My grandfather was in the army. My dad was an ex police officer. I remember my dad cutting his hand open accidentally with a shear, which is a tool, if you're not familiar with it, to prune trees because we had an orchard. And he had this massive gash and blood just flowing out. And he just wrapped it up and he continued to work. Now, that was a real man. Now, what it has happened is essentially these men have actually passed away, right? They have passed away and they are no longer around. That guard is what I call the old guard is now passing. The second reason is because guys of in my generation, so we're talking about guys who are in their mid 40s or in their 40s, early 50s, late 30s, we are the last line of defense. And a lot of us are actually caving. We are caving into the social pressures that are saying it's not okay to be masculine. It's not okay to be a strong man. For those who are actually holding the line, things are going to work out well. For those guys who are not, I'm already seeing it, guys my age, guys that I grew up with who are not able to be in their masculine state. And it's not the core reason, but it's one of the main reasons why their lives are going in completely different directions than they want them to be. And they are not happy. They are not fulfilled. And ultimately, they're just wondering, what is the point of life? So when you are in that masculine state, you feel energized, you feel alive. So I'm seeing this happen to a lot of guys my age. I'm seeing a lot of mental health on the rise, and mainly because, again, like I said, we're caving to those social pressures that are saying it's not okay to be masculine. The third element, the third reason why real men are going extinct is because the next generation is just being taught not to be men. Guys that are in their mid to late 20s and under, they are just not taught to be men these days. In fact, I would say I very rarely do I come across boys these days that I see that have real masculinity within them. And I'm not talking about aggression because masculinity and aggression are confused. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a strong sense of their masculine self. So we are now not teaching our boys to be masculine. So what's happening overall is we have the old guard passing away. We have the mid guard, the last line of defense that is actually caving, and then we have a new generation that has no clue what it means to be a man. So this combination, this trifecta, is why real men are going extinct. Now, there's one thing that we can do to really combat that and really turn the tide so it's actually more balanced, and that is mentorship. It's simply mentorship. It's mentoring not only our fellow men of our ages, possibly people that are older, but particularly the younger generation. It's something that I don't see very often at all. My grandfather mentored me very deeply. He taught me the elements of character, the elements of your word is your bond, the importance of having values. He was very strong in mentoring me. And we don't see that mentorship these days at all. In fact, we discard the older generation and their experience. And so we need to stand up and actually be better mentors to our fellow men in our own generation, but also the next generation. We need to raise our boys to be strong men. So, the one thing that you can do today to really shift this tide to help yourself out as well, because when you mentor somebody else, your testosterone goes up, your masculinity goes up as well. So that is the one thing that you can do. Get up today, find someone if you're not already, or find an additional person, or just mentor another man or boy in your life. If you do that, if all of us do that, we can all move forward and get real men back.